The following podcast has been rated R. You've been warned. Welcome to the greatest DC Legends podcast in human history. Well, okay, maybe not. But stick around anyway, because we're going to have some fun. You know me, I'm the AB. And along with my crew, we'll talk DCL and everything else in between. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Atlantis After Dark. Hello, hello, and welcome again. You found your way to our humble little podcast. We appreciate you listening wherever you might have found us. Subscribe so you never miss an episode. And are you ready for this very special episode of Double AD? It's Double AD Goes to the Movies. We have our all-star team, BF, Witty, Biff, and Retmus joining us today. And as I said at the top of the previous episode, you can get some of my initial thoughts on CTS, the Chris Truby Show, another shameless plug for that. It's on YouTube. Just search for me, Chris Truby. Find the episode Kentucky Round Steak, and there you go. You'll also hear BF's initial thoughts, and you'll hear an old familiar voice. Beatus chimes in as well. So, you guys know that Double AD Goes to the Movies is not just about us reviewing films. It's also about us getting reviewed. Even our humble little show has made it to Rotten Tomatoes. Do you guys want to hear the review that we got before we started into this?
Sure.
Wow.
Yes.
You all sound convinced. All right. Let's give this one a listen really quick. From the only crew in a DCL alliance who can do better than just blindly score points comes Atlantis After Dark. Settle in and have a listen to a podcast so groundbreaking, only their cast have the stones and boobs to handle it. Meet the squad. Witty Amazon, who either speaks in sign language or can barely be heard. Retmus, who uses a microphone he found while scuba diving. Biffed by Adam West, who won a Razzie for Worst Segment Ever. Black Flash, whose insight is about as worthy as a blank page. And Aquabear, who could totally voice over my GPS as I drive across all 50 states. Brace yourself as these guys take you on a journey filled with bland guests, unentertaining segments, dildo jokes, erection jokes, butthole jokes. Let's face it, if it's a dirty joke, you can be sure they'll find a way to randomly place it anywhere in the episode. I mean, come on, these guys think they're comedians or something? Never mind the serious in-game discussions, predictions, and gameplay reviews. These asswipes will grab you by the balls with their daring FMK segments, breaking news segments, and the wisdom of their resident hillbilly, Merle Nelson. Atlantis After Dark. And there you have it. That was our film review, Double AD. I like that.
Insightful as a piece of paper, huh?
Yeah, insightful as a piece of
fresh.
paper. Certified fresh.
I agree.
We are fresh. We're the fresh, funky people over here.
How's that Razzie, Biff?
All right.
At least you won something.
Yeah. I didn't win anything. I don't. Witty, you didn't win anything either. So, hoist that trophy proudly, Biff. That's an accomplishment.
Big win.
All right. Let's get this party hardy. Speaking of notes, I'm sure BF has his notes handy. But I want to start with you, Biff. What did you think of the film in general? And I ask you first because you seem like you know the least about comic book lore in general. So I'm hoping you can provide a more casual fan perspective.
He's calling you out right away.
But it's true. It's true, right?
No, it is. My comic book lore and everything is basically the Batman group villains, all that stuff. I was a big fan of the Super Friends versus the Legion of Doom series, the Challenge of the Super Friends. That's what I grew up on more than comic books. So, I think I said it last episode. I take a different view of the the DC movies, and just like, hey, can you entertain me for 2 hours, or in this case 4 hours, and don't get too much into the technical and the lore and the why does this person do this when they never acted that way or whatever. But I thought it was a good movie. I didn't think it wasn't as good as the first Wonder Woman or anything like that. That one still holds on to being my favorite. But there was a lot there. I mean, I think the last fight scene. And once again, I'll go back to my love of Wonder Woman in the movie, in the DC movies of late Gal. She was amazing in that last fight scene.
Yeah.
And just some of the, when they were just taking out Steppenwolf and everything like that. I thought that was great. I think overall the movie made a lot more sense. Even though Barry was super, super nerdy, there were a few times it was funny, where I actually laughed, at how nerdy he was. But I think probably my biggest disappointment of the movie is Barry never went back and nailed that girl that obviously liked him. Like, he's such a nerd. He didn't even go back to a girl who he saved his life to get some.
He was hungry, man. He didn't have time for Iris.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
He also saved the sausage, so.
He did, and also, a side note, I just got a new set of fancy bourbon glasses in the other day.
Let's see.
Oh.
And as I was watching it, it is identical, and I paused it on the screen, to the bourbon glass that Alfred drank out of. It's the same brand with the same markings, and the funny thing is, they came out, that they were delivered to my house that day that I was watching it. And I had just opened it up and I was drinking out of it. And I looked at it, I said, that's the exact same glass I have. So I have the same bourbon glass as Bruce Wayne.
Pretty cool.
Wow.
That's awesome.
So I want to get your initial thoughts on this too, Whitty. I know you have some things to say, including Flash's hot dog. I'm sure you love that.
Excuse me?
Oh. Give us your thoughts. What was your strongest point of the film, and what was your weakest point of the film?
There's a lot of things to point out, at least for me, because it's a 4-hour movie.
Yeah.
After watching the movie for like 3 times, I think that's as high as I can go. It made a lot more sense. I mean, it's a 4-hour movie, but it made a lot more sense. Steppenwolf had a major upgrade. They got rid of his Oedipus complex. We understand where he comes from, what his mission is, what his motivation is, and he's actually a relatable guy now. We get what he's doing, why he's doing, and at some point I really felt bad for the guy because he just wanted to go home and decided to be such a bitch to him. So we got to relate to him a bit, and it made him a better villain. They made him a better villain. I'm gonna say that. That's one of the highest points in the movie for me. Is they made him a good villain.
Right.
Another good point for me was the soundtrack. They brought back Junkie XL for the soundtrack, and it sounded like $1 million. I mean, I love the 2 soundtracks really standing out for me. One was the one where Superman fights Steppenwolf, the last fighting sequence. That sounds amazing. And the other track, At the Speed of Force, when Barry runs back in time.
So cool.
That one is just superb.
Yeah.
Yes. I think that was a win right there. For me,
that whole scene was amazing.
It was.
Yeah, the scene was amazing, but I think that the sound made it the soundtrack made it a lot better. It's amazing. I've listened to it a lot of times. I think it was a win right there.
Yeah.
Another, positive note I'm gonna add here is Cyborg. It really had a centric role in the movie, and I think they really took the time to introduce us to him and to give us a bit more sense of what his powers are and why he is important to the Justice League and to that particular threat that they're facing. I think those three are the biggest points in that movie for me.
I really appreciated that aspect of the movie.
Yeah, no, Cyborg definitely got his just due in this thing. As did Steppenwolf. And I mean, I had thought about that, it is kind of easy to see how people could feel sorry for him because you're right, at the end of the day, he's doing this because he wants to come home. But, I mean, I go back to the scene where he was abusing one of the parademons. So, I don't know.
Yeah, when Superman is like beating the shit out of him, I'm like, yeah, do it, just knock him out. no hard feelings there, but I that particular scene when he says he just wants to go home, it hits you. You see what his motivation is, and that is important. It's not there just to fight back. It's there to do something.
Definitely. What were some of the low points of the film for you then?
There were a few. I'm gonna start with Wonder Woman, of course. Every time she appeared on the screen, there was this lady singing or screeching behind her. I don't know what that was about. I think it made every scene a lot worse. I know soundtrack was one of the big points for me. It was one of the positives, but for this one, I'm gonna have to mention this as a low point. Every time she appears on screen, that lady starts screaming behind her, and it just distracted me. It just made it a lot worse.
It sounds like she's singing to Mecca.
They wanted to go for an epic.
Yeah.
Right? It was distracting as fuck. I didn't think it hit the point they were trying to. That really pissed me off.
Yeah.
Another low point I'm going to say is I'm going to put Aquaman and Wonder Woman in the same bag on this one. I think they were just there to fight Steppenwolf. They had really no big input in the movie whatsoever in the storyline. Wonder Woman just, she gives you a sense of what the she breaks down what the story is with Darkseid and the when he came to Earth and whatnot. But to this particular storyline, in the present, both of them are just there to keep Steppenwolf away from the team, from Cyborg, and really to, just to be the fighters, because no one else was going to be fighting Steppenwolf or Superman.
Right.
Not even Batman, not the Flash, because, it's just a kid. They were there to be...
They were the muscle.
The brute.
Right.
Yeah. And finally, I think the lowest point for me is Flash. I mean, he gets one of the coolest scenes in the movie, right? He's very important, and he really shows off why he's a great superhero, but that whole scene where he just saves Iris is the worst scene in that movie, and nobody can disagree with me. At some point, I was like, no, just don't shove it into her mouth. Don't shove it into her mouth. It's so cringeworthy. Oh my god, I cannot believe they put that into the movie.
Well,
and other thing that bothers me, I know Ratnus wants to talk about this, and I'm ready to listen what he's got to say, but the way he runs, I mean, what the
There's a whole
fuck?
purpose behind that.
Oh, yeah, Flash.
I closed down the movie, and I opened YouTube, and I was watching, what's his name? Usain Bolt running in slow motion, because he's the fastest man alive, let's face it.
It doesn't have to deal with that at all.
At some point, I was trying to make sense out of it, because he throws his arms in front of him like crazy. Is he trying to hit something with lightning bolts or something? But he isn't. So I can't make sense of the way he runs.
Do you just want me to go into it now? Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Well, first let's go back to the scene that you hate. that I absolutely love, and I'm going to explain why. Okay, it's showing how Barry enters the Speed Force when he sees Iris, in danger. You see his shoes burst because of the immense power that he is creating. You see him go through the glass, which is barely touching his finger, and you see the glass bow out. You're seeing how the whole world reacts to the power of the Speed Force around him. How he has to be like gentle, like kid gloves, moving Iris with his fingertips, gently taking her to the ground. All right. This is showing. And then when he runs across, he completely destroys. He wasn't even running. It was kind of like a slow walk if you watch it, but he completely destroys the whole entire ground, the cement. It's just destroyed. And that's why he's taking her down with kid gloves. All right. Now, let's flash forward. Little pun there, flash. But anyway, the way he runs, okay, he flings his arms out, right? And the way it looks so awkward, right? Think of how a speed skater works. Have you ever seen a speed skater or one of the ice skaters? That the ones that go super quick.
Oh yeah.
Watch them move. They're almost identical. And the reason is he's traveling through the Speed Force. He's gliding through it. As he glides through it, it's so he doesn't destroy his surroundings and all the other objects around. So it's basically that singular point of speed going forward or whatever direction he goes into to keep all his surroundings from being affected. That's why he's moving in that motion. And if you go and you watch the skaters, you'll understand that. And then that's why he has that specialized suit. And I think there was even a joke made about it when Batman was in there and he was like, "Oh, I do really fast competitive ice skating," or something like that. So so they're throwing it in there, and that's why he also wears that suit, so all that speed and friction goes behind him. It like hits him like an airplane wing, and it wraps around him and travels in a direction behind him instead of veering off to the left, to the right, forward, and back. That's why it's
makes
so
a contrail.
Awkward. Right. It's why it's so awkward of a look. But it's intentional for that reason. And I will have to look it up, but I think Zack Snyder even addressed something like that. It's more like he runs like a speed skater would, and that's the reason behind it. It looks goofy, but if you think about it, that's kind of like the way to keep that speed up in that specific direction. And whenever he's doing that funky running, it's always in, like a straight path. It's not cutting to the left, cutting to the right. It's usually, unidirectional.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's the reason why. And they were showing earlier episode that was cut out how his surroundings are affected. And that's when he was saving Iris. And he didn't look goofy. He wasn't running, but just the simple movement destroys his surroundings. So he has to use everything in a specific way. And he's new to it, so he's still new to his power. So he doesn't fully know, what, how to do it. Later on, his running might change, but that's just it. He's just basically gliding. And that's why. And then after I thought about that, analyzed a little bit, I could make exceptions for that goofy run because I understand why it's done that way.
Yeah. Have you ever seen in the Olympics where they put the big pads around the speed skater thing? It's so that there's no carnage.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Could you imagine
just
crashing out there?
So here's my comeback to that, right? And I know we haven't even gotten into the meat and potatoes of this thing yet, but if you're telling me that he is so OP that he rips his shoes up, he rips the pavement up, that to me suggests a continuity error with the character.
How does he
maybe I'm the only one who thinks that.
Well, it's because he's still new to the power. He doesn't fully understand how to do it. I think that's what it is, because he's first introduced. He's just being introduced in this movie, so we don't know all of it. And because, like you said, earlier on, he's like, you got to break the rules. You got to go for it, Barry, because he's, I guess, in the backstory that we haven't seen, he's effed up quite a few times. Obviously, because why would he create this rule? Because he doesn't. I don't think he fully understands what he does in controlling his powers, his abilities.
And I can see that. I can certainly see that. And, I'll give it a pass for now based on that logic. But, if it destroyed, I guess that I still have a problem.
Too, right?
Yeah. I mean, if it destroys his shoes and the floor, why didn't it destroy his jeans or his shirt?
Exactly, because as a speedster, his power isn't in his feet.
Right.
It's a full force running through his
True.
body.
Yeah.
That's
not
what
about
I'm
his
saying.
feet.
That's why when he's doing that full top speed, it's more of a glide in his whole body because he doesn't know how to do that.
His
yet.
shoes shouldn't have to
Right.
explode.
Well, that's what I was trying to get at. He doesn't understand his full potential, his full power yet. So he was putting all that force into his feet.
I'm not sure I agree because how can he not be, in full knowledge of what his powers are, and in the end of the movie, and runs back in time and saves everyone else? He has to have done that before to know how to do it. He knows how to control it. So how the fuck do his shoes just blow up? It doesn't make sense to me. I'm sorry, it doesn't. I love the Flash. I'm a big Flash fan.
On the spur of the moment type thing, it was like, oh crap, I got to save this woman. She's going to die. And he didn't care about her surroundings, or he didn't think or use control. Maybe that's what happens when he doesn't, have control.
I don't know. They wanted to show him as a really powerful being, which he is, but I don't think they've nailed that one. And also, he's running through the window or the glass door or whatever with his finger pointing forward. No one runs like that. If you're gonna run through a window, you're not gonna run with your finger pointing at it.
His fingertips are always out for the electricity, though.
It made for a really cool slow motion, but no one runs through a door with his finger pointed forward. I'm sorry.
Window,
No one does that. I'm so sorry. Not even the Flash does that.
Well, speaking of slow motion, the reason this film was 4 hours and 2 minutes long is because half of it was in slow motion.
Like 10 minutes or something. I'm not complaining about that. It made for some cool scenes. That's not a negative for me. That's not.
I think the most negative part for me that could have been completely cut was when I guess were they Norwegian people? Is that where when she's out there,
Iceland something?
Smelling Aquaman,
the horny Swedes
shirt, and then starts singing, and you're sitting there, and I'm like, come on, keep going, that's enough.
It's awkward.
That could have been cut.
One thing I do wonder about.
I agree. That was so awkward.
That should have been cut. Let me rephrase that. So awkward.
How does he manage to find shirts every time he steps out of the water? Because every time he gets in the water, he removes his shirt. But then when he gets out, he just reaches down.
And the Nordic women take it, right? Well, maybe he goes back to that Nordic woman's house and he gets it again. I don't know.
Still got that sweater?
I think she cleans it for him. So
they have it ready for him.
That's right. Few women can resist the charms of one Aquamoa.
I can.
But
we have Superman. So we have Superman. So
that's interesting. You think Henry Cavill? I know a lot of women think Henry Cavill is hot, but do you think he's hotter than Jason Momoa?
Oh, by a long mile.
By a long mile. Interesting. Okay.
She must like the clean-looking dudes.
Where does Ben Affleck fit into that?
I know you've been thirsting over him too, so don't pretend you weren't.
I know, I have so much. Oh,
you've seen him with that mustache.
I have.
It looks good with him. I'm gonna tell you this. I like a guy with a beard, not so much with just a mustache. And Henry Cavill can really pull it off, so that says something.
Right.
My wife's pass is Aquamoa.
I'm not gonna fight her over. She can take him. She can take him.
Oh goodness!
Like I even liked Jason Momoa back when he was on Stargate Atlantis, when he did that series.
Yeah, that's right. He was on that.
He was Ronan.
Ironic. Stargate Atlantis.
Yeah. Isn't it?
Yeah. How crazy. Yeah, how crazy is that? I didn't even put that together.
He was destined to be the king.
That's it.
Yeah.
And they did.
Yeah.
Aquaman, I think, in this one kind of got a little bit more of the lower end billing, kind of like how Woody was saying, him and Wonder Woman.
Mm-hmm.
No real impact.
But
no
if
real
you
impact in
but
in
if
the
you
storyline.
analyze it and you take back what they were doing with Aquaman, they were basically trying to set up his storyline, saying like, this is why you need to be the king.
Yeah.
You know, your mother would be doing this. It's now your responsibility. You need to do this. You know, they were trying to build him up to say, you know, this is your destiny. You know, this is why you do it. And I think that's what he finally comes to, you know, inside, and that's why he shows up to help.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I think that the reason for that is because at the time they had already slated an Aquaman movie and they had done a Wonder Woman film. So with those two already having been introduced or will have been introduced, I think they needed to put the majority of the focus on Cyborg and Flash, which was the right call.
Right.
But yeah,
I still think there was too much Cyborg. Like I don't know. Maybe just because he's not one of the ones I followed as a kid or anything, and I just thought that in the end, I mean, we all talk about in DCL, people complain about Superman's the ultimate being, but why does he suck in the game? You know, we have this collection of the Justice League here, and without Cyborg, there's nothing anyone else can do. Like, he was the MVP. And to me, in my head, as I put all those Justice League characters in front of me, that's to me, I would think of Cyborg as one of the complementary ones that would have a role like Wonder Woman and Aquaman had in this movie that was secondary. And they made him Superman. They made him the biggest piece.
Well, I don't know. I'm not. I might disagree with you on that because, you know, if you see what the threat is in the movie, the mother boxes uniting, who else is gonna hack into it and save everyone
100%.
else?
No, I know why.
It has to be. No, not even Superman would break him apart without him. It makes sense that he has a key role and that he has some really good character development because he's going to be key in separating them. And so did the Flash. Yeah. And I think combining the two of them, their powers to do so, was a really good
I thought it was. I just thought it was just a lot of Cyborg.
Right.
You just don't like Cyborg, that's it.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that.
I don't like Cyborg either. I don't like him either.
Let's say he didn't exist. I mean, really, what would have stopped Superman from just grabbing the mother blocks, flying it at supersonic speed into space and throwing it?
Would that work?
Yeah.
Well,
why not?
I mean,
exactly.
I don't know.
So, I mean, it's what the writer wants, you know,
Right.
And we just have to go off of that.
Sure.
I mean, there's always ways they could go around it, but
right.
Okay, let's just pretend for a second that Superman would, break them apart, or even Wonder Woman with the gauntlets. What would Cyborg do in that movie? Just brood about his father. They had to make him relevant. I understand that. I'm not a Cyborg fan. I don't like the character as well, but I understand why it was important and the real power of his superpowers. He can do a lot of things that I didn't even imagine because I don't like the character at all. But he is really powerful, and that's what they were trying to show. Because everyone else knows that Flash is awesome, Superman is awesome, Wonder Woman is beyond awesome. So they had to show off Cyborg. Otherwise, it was going to end up like Aquaman in the movie, just being shirtless and doing nothing.
If there was an observation I was going to make about this whole thing, now that I've heard all of these different sides of it, I've heard a lot of people say that Cyborg was, the most important character in the film. I've heard people say Flash is the most important character of the film. And if you look at it from, the perspective of the heroes in that moment, they think Superman is the most important character. And you could certainly make a case for all three. I actually see that as a positive thing coming out of this, because you could make so many arguments about who was the real hero, who was the real star of that show. And I think it comes down to nobody. I mean, people say, oh, if they didn't have Superman, they wouldn't have won. And maybe that's true. But if they didn't have Flash, they wouldn't have won. If they didn't have Cyborg, they wouldn't have won.
Yeah. It's a team
And if
effort.
Tony didn't snap his fingers, they wouldn't have won. Oh, shit, wrong movie.
You just ruined it.
I think you nailed it there, AB. The whole thing was unite the seven, and I don't think they were meaning the seven kingdoms of Atlantis. This was meaning unite them. because even Bruce
Right.
earlier said he hasn't faced us united, and I think that's what
Yeah.
the director overall was trying to do, was saying each person had an integral part in this movie, and here's why, and he just tried to show why each person was important.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was their goal, and I think they were supposed to unite the seven, and that's one of the negatives that I'm going to speak out about as well. They were supposed to unite. They used Martian Manhunter, but they were supposed to bring Green Lantern, and that's
Yeah.
one of the lows for me when Wonder Woman is telling the story of when Darkseid came to Earth to conquer it, and Atlanteans alongside Amazons and whatnot, and the Guardians from the sky, and you see this one lantern, and I'm like, motherfucker, one
Yeah.
lantern. Couldn't they just added some, the green beams fighting around in the skies without showing the characters? Because the Earth is about to be invaded, and there's one lantern.
You were going to get the lanterns in Justice League too.
Well, they were supposed to be the Martian Manhunter in
That too, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
I know, but the Earth is being
Right.
invaded. Where are the lanterns? What are they doing?
Exactly.
Charging
He
the rings?
was probably the projector
Whoever's in
of
charge of
the
sector-
section.
You cannot. There was only one lantern protecting this sector,
Yeah.
and he would not call his
And that
buddies
was
to help.
5,000 years ago,
Right.
or like
In a
thousands
crisis.
and thousands of years ago. They
Yeah.
didn't assign another one by then to Earth.
Well, I'm sure they did, but I don't know how many planets encompass that sector. At least in this.
Dude, you have a dead Kilowog
Snyderverse.
in that
Yeah.
nightmare
Yeah.
sequence. You have a dead
Yeah, we
Kilowog
did.
there, so they have more than one lantern assigned to Earth at some point.
Yes.
They could have at least added some lightning beams in the skies, throwing at some parademons,
That would have
just
been cool.
for context.
They should have threw
Well,
some
that
yellow
brings
ones.
up another question. Though. If you have a dead Kilowog at the foot or the head of the Justice League headquarters there, and we can assume that the Guardians said, you know what, we better send some more over there. Did they do it as Darkseid was invading, or did they do it prior to the invasion? Because why would you send somebody there prior to an invasion? Superman's got it. Justice League has it.
Well, I think we would have
Guardians
seen a
wouldn't send
scene
anybody up there.
where Darkseid would have attacked Oa or something. I think
Yeah,
he
I
would have
think-
went after the lanterns at some point, and then they would
Yeah,
have had
that
a
might
few.
be.
And
Yeah, I guess I could see that. I had a thought and I just lost it. I apologize.
That's all right.
brain fart.
It happens to the best of us,
Dramatic
folks.
pause.
Yep. I know, dramatic pause. That'll be it. I'll edit that out because I have the pen, right? I can pen that out. But no, I think overall, and you guys have heard my thoughts on this, and I'll let BF have his say here in a minute. But if you listen to CTS, I'm not going to repeat everything I said because that would be
Redundant.
grossly inappropriate as far as I'm concerned. Redundant, right? I'm more upset over the fact that we're never going to get a follow-up to this. We're never going to get another film out of it. We aren't going to get a TV series. We're not going to get an HBO Max special. Anything that comes after this is null and void to that universe. And even though there are films that are taking place in that universe, won't be connected to that film. I've said it before. The story we're really being robbed of here is, what does it take for the Batman and the Joker to work together? And that's ultimately the destruction of the world. And how do you get from point A to point B? How do they get there? That, to me, is an interesting story.
Yeah, that would be fantastic to see played out.
Can I ask a question that I didn't get, and the thing I did, and you
Sure.
just alluded to it, the Batman dream.
Yeah.
Like, if there's no follow up to this, what's the point of that?
There was going to be a follow-up, so there was a point to it originally.
This was new footage.
Yeah,
added.
this was newly
Oh,
filmed.
well, he probably just wanted to show off then. Fuck, I don't know.
Well, I think what he said was he wanted, this film's version of the Joker and this universe's version of Batman to have a scene together. If it served no other purpose, Okay, it served no other purpose. But, yeah, I mean, to build a story without a story is kind of asinine.
Was it something he originally had planned on recording already? Was it on a storyboard when he had to step down, and that was one that he was looking forward to?
I don't know. I don't. Maybe it was
You have
something
to
he
ask
was going
that.
to include.
Let me call
yeah,
Zack.
That'd be a good question.
Isn't
Zack
doing
Snyder, are you available for an interview?
Yeah, isn't he going to do some voiceover for us? Everyone else seems to say yes.
Is he
Well,
on Cameo?
He could, yeah. Yeah. We'll get him on. He'll be
We
our,
are not a
our number one
corporation.
star. We're not a corporation. Thanks, Kevin Conroy. Yeah. No, that whole nightmare sequence thing, it was cool to see, right? But was it necessary? No. I think maybe ultimately he had something like that planned for Justice League 2. Mm-hmm. Maybe that was a scene from that film that he plugged in. Because if you look, and I've said this before, he starts BVS at the end of Man of Steel, and he starts Justice League at the end of BVS. Mm-hmm. So you can logically assume that he would start Justice League 2 with an ending to
he was
that.
plugging the next movie.
Well,
Right,
according
right.
to,
I think
there was leaks. Zack Snyder released his plans for 2 and 3 since he knew he wasn't going to be making them. And part 2 was basically going to be this whole nightmare sequence, come to life. Basically, kind of like the Injustice version type movie, where Superman is the bad guy.
Right.
And he's wiping out everything. But of course, we know it's because Darkseid uses the anti-life equation on Superman when he was vulnerable.
Yep.
And he just uses him to wipe everybody out. Then we're going to go into Justice League 3, where we have the Deathstroke, Joker, everybody that's left to join together to go against them. And that's when we're going to have the Flash go back in time. He goes back in time at the wrong point, and that's for Batman versus Superman when he said the whole key is Lois. He has to save Lois.
Yep.
And then in 3, basically is going to sacrifice himself, to save her. And because Joker alluded to that, where he said that you didn't have the cojones to die yourself. How many multiverses have we went through where you wouldn't die?
Oh, yeah.
So that's basically what it was. He just wanted to put out what he envisioned for this one, I believe. I mean, I could be completely wrong, but I just think he wanted it to be, hey, this is how I wanted mine to be. Here it is. Yes, you're not going to see the rest, but this is how I wanted it to be.
Yeah. What a shame.
I know.
We were robbed of so many. That was a license to print money, by the way, because he was even lining up the Legion of Doom.
Right.
In that
Yes.
thing.
I would have
lining up
loved
the Injustice League. Who would not have loved to have seen the fucking that spaceship thing they had lift off in real life?
the swamp.
Oh my God.
That would be so awesome. I
could have died right then. Out of the swamp even. I would have died right then. You just said, stick a heart in me, I'm done. I'd have been happy.
That's the worst part is we'll never see any of that.
Oh,
and I would kill for a
License
real
to
life
print money.
movie around that cartoon specifically. Challenge of the Super Friends
That would
versus
be
the Legion
cool.
of Doom.
We plead to you, Zack Snyder. Restore your universe.
Yes.
Hashtag and stuff.
That'd be so awesome. I remember I got every single DVD that they came out with on Amazon. All the Super Friends, the Legion of Doom, every single one of those. I have all the box sets of them. I loved that growing up as a kid.
right.
I have adult collectible figures of every member of the Challenge of the Super Friends versus a Legion of Doom from a company called Figures Toy Company. They do amazing work. I have all of the Batman 66 characters, and I have all of, except for one, because they haven't made it yet. Hawkman has not been made yet. That was supposed to be 2020, but it got pushed back to this year. Yeah,
we all know what happened there.
So, but I have every single version. Hawkman caught COVID. So they couldn't make his figure, but I have all of those, and it's
those are really cool.
So cool.
Wait! Isn't COVID a bird flu?
Maybe it is.
I don't think coronavirus is a blue.
It's a
bird
SARS,
flu.
I
right?
don't think so.
It's a
swine flu or something more closely.
I was Well, I was going to say that'd be a hell of a joke, Hawkman.
The avian flu.
Jesus. Next thing you know, he's out there laying eggs. All right.
We're getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, we're getting way ahead of ourselves. I too would love to see, them make a film about, the Super Friends or whatever. I know I'm in this category with Whitty, and I grew up with that too, right? But my personal favorite iteration of the Justice League is Bruce Timm's Justice League, all the way from, Batman the Animated Series through. Oh, that Justice League show was amazing.
Yeah, it was. That's where I really got introduced.
That was my favorite.
Oh, yeah.
And that was the lineup I wanted them to have in the movie.
Same. I agree.
I know.
I'm glad they got Martian Manhunter out of it.
Yeah.
He didn't play a key role, but it was good to see him, in the big
I would have
screen.
even taken one of them holding a picture of Ryan Reynolds as Hal Jordan. Screw it.
That's some real Deadpool fucking
Just
fourth wall shit right there.
He was gonna add Jon Stewart.
Oh, he was going to go Jon Stewart,
I think
wasn't
they
he?
were, and then they changed it from Jon Stewart to Marty. Yeah,
and that's the lineup. That's the lineup from the animated
Mm-hmm.
series. It's Jon Stewart, not Hal Jordan.
Gotta have Jon Stewart. He's my favorite.
But I do have a question. I have a question for you guys because no one's talked about it. But I had a big issue with the movie that I don't know if I'm just reading it wrong. Maybe you guys can help me out on this one. But when Steppenwolf was uniting the mother boxes, they called to him and showed him where the anti-life was, and that Earth was the planet who fought back. And if Earth was the only planet who fought back,
how'd they forget?
How does Darkseid can remember that big moment of his
This is why you make the money, Whitty.
Because Ares hit him with that axe so hard.
I can answer that.
Oh, that was badass.
Let me
that was
answer that one
badass
for you.
All right, Retmus, take us through it.
Okay. Here's what happened.
He lost too much blood. That was it.
No. Okay. Darkseid.
The long drawn out.
If you notice, they were in all their ships. They were doing what he now refers to as the old ways, traveling from world to world, right? That was not the only world simultaneously that he was attacking. He had Steppenwolf on another world, his other generals on other worlds attacking at the same time. So they're basically trying to dominate the universe, right? What happened was, through this whole time, you see him, you don't see any of the other big players there with him. He's like there with, I guess, the sorceresses, the witches or whatever, with the mother boxes.
Oh, yeah, Hegra?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so he gets injured majorly, it's almost a fatal wound. So they pull him back. They take off, to make sure he survives. They retreat. Okay, you got to think this is why during his recovery, they're all out in war. People were being, back and forth between different worlds trying to do this. He was the only one that knew that was a equation because, he found it when he, struck the ground. He saw the anti-life equation, whatever. He saw this through this whole time. You got to remember I think it was like, I could be wrong. It was either 3,000 or 5,000 years since his invasion there. 5,000 years. Okay,
yeah, 5,000. Yep.
All the people that knew those locations were slain in the battles of the wars until he was able to recover and come back. So no one else knew where it was. That is what. That is my leading theory about it, because if
that was not what I was saying, because
that's why he didn't know the location.
No, but he should know the location. He should know. He was there. He saw it with his own eyes.
Yeah, but
he got defeated once in a lifetime. He was defeated, and now he doesn't know where it is. Yeah. The Sod says to Steppenwolf that when they were on and off about him coming home or not, that the story of the Defiance is a well-known story.
Well, this came from Zack Snyder,
and if that's something they talked about and people know about and their home planet, how come Darkseid forgot where he got his hats from? That's what I don't get. That is a big plot hole for me.
I completely understand it by just watching the movie, but this was like what Zack Snyder came back, and this was there's a quote from him explaining this storyline, what I just said. By the time he recuperated, all the other people were basically slain in battle, that knew the location.
Yeah, I get it.
But like they wouldn't have a computer.
I just don't think it would
Wouldn't
forget.
they have a
forget.
computer system that guided them there in the first place, and it just all of a sudden lost coordinates?
Somebody cleared the memory on the GPS.
Yeah. But anyway, that's
Yeah.
the official reason why by Zack Snyder.
Right. Well, Zack Snyder.
I don't think
wrong.
it's a good reason enough. I don't
Yeah.
think it's a good enough reason. He wouldn't forget.
Yeah.
When someone does you wrong,
No.
you don't forget.
No.
Yeah.
And not something major like
I
that.
agree. And even
I
at
think-
the very end, 5,000 years later, he still had the same exact armor on that was chopped by the axe, because you can still see the axe blade in that armor.
Yeah.
He wore
Sure.
it.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
This is the other thing.
He wouldn't forget that
Yeah.
that easily. I don't care how many
Right.
million years passed. He wouldn't
Right.
forget about
Well,
it.
it's
So,
not even
I think
about
it's
how
a
many
plot hole.
years passed. It's about, think about it like this, and this is something that is true to the comics anyway. Time doesn't exist on the same plane to them as it does to us. For all they know,
Yeah.
it could have just been 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
Exactly. Yeah.
They exist in a space outside of time and space. So, I don't know. I don't know if there's.
You're
going
gonna back me up on this one, right?
Oh, I am
Oh,
totally.
I agree
am
with
totally.
you. I was just letting you know what the statement was. I mean, I'm there
Sure.
with you too, Witty. I wasn't contradicting you. I was
Sure.
just trying to explain how, they tried to justify it.
Yeah, I've looked it up online and I've read something about it, but I still don't. I'm not convinced. If you have to explain it, it means it wasn't very clear out in the movie. So
Yeah.
it makes us wonder.
BF, let me hit you up. You've been a little quiet over there. Why don't you tell us? Have you seen it more than once at this stage now? Have you seen
I
it
have not.
a few times?
I've only
you
watched
haven't
it
gone
once.
bac and rewatched it at all.
No, I haven't had time
Okay.
to watch it again.
Is it just because it's 4 hours long?
Basically, yeah. I really want to watch the
Yeah.
gray version. I just haven't had a chance to be able to sit down and watch it again. And,
Oh. Yeah, I don't get
but
that.
I agree
don't
with
get
a lot
that
of the things you guys are
black
saying.
and white
And
version.
if you want to hear my
Sure.
initial review on the movie, you can head on over to the Chris Trube show, Shameless plug, Truby show, Shameless plug. But
You can't even say the name.
yeah, ADD.
Oh, it's
my
your
gosh.
show. You can't even
No,
pronounce
but
it.
all in all,
Anyways.
I liked the movie a lot. It was enjoyable. There's multiple plot holes, multiple things that they could have did different, or oh, fuck.
Did you forget where you were?
Yeah, that threw me all off my rhythm. It's a good movie, folks. Let's
All right,
go
he's
to the
cut
reviews.
off, folks. No more ganja for him.
It's not the problem. I need more.
It makes him right.
Shit.
damn raids.
Oh, damn it.
No, watch
Oh
the
my
movie
God.
though. Enjoy it. You'll like it. Probably the biggest thing is get through the first 40 minutes. I've heard a lot of people stop early and say, "Oh, it's no different. It's no different." If you get to the point where they bring back Superman, that the movie really takes off from there. There is slow spots in the beginning. It drags at points, but sit there, enjoy it, soak in the story that you'll never get more of, and get to
Yeah.
that point, and it gets really exciting.
Yeah. I feel like there's at least one other thing that I wanted to bring up, and I don't know how you guys feel about it, but it's something that didn't sit right with me after full disclosure, I've seen it 6 times now. Just because I want to see, right? I'm hardcore. I'm hardcore. You guys have no idea how hardcore of a DC nerd I am.
Yeah.
No idea. I mean, I've got
Yeah.
the Joker card tattooed on my arm, for fuck's sake.
Which Joker?
I guess
Not
no,
Jared Leto.
my
Not
Joker.
Leto.
That one.
The OG Joker. No, not Jared Leto. But it is the tattoo of the same card that Jared Leto gave Batman in that film. It's the same looking card.
He's the shittiest.
That's the
Joker.
original Joker card in the comics. It's so fucking sexy. Anyway,
Please don't tattoo damaged on your forehead.
oh no. I'm not going to do anything crazy like that.
I
No
have
face tattoo.
RB5 Batgirl tattooed on my neck.
Jesus.
No. Oh my God. So getting back to the film, we could do that, and we're going to get silly all day long. But going back to the film, the one thing that I wanted to bring up, in addition to anything that I might have said before, and I have a problem with it, and I didn't realize I had a problem with it until I watched it, the fifth time. And then I had to watch it a sixth time to make sure that I really had a problem with it. Wonder Woman just straight up vaporizes that fucking dude in front of those kids.
Yeah.
Is that what it is, Whitty? Oh my God. I don't know if it was awesome.
No. I thought he was going to say Lois putting his shirt on Superman. That was terrible to
watch. Are you talking about
Henry
where she gets her
Cavill,
gauntlets together?
Yes. I agree, AB.
Yeah.
That's,
we can discuss that.
Obliterates a fucking museum.
Yeah, she stops the bomb from going off, and then she becomes the actual bomb.
Yeah.
And the blast only goes forward. I know it's kind of weird. It's quite cool. Kind of weird. Kind of misses the point of, saving the building and then exploding it by yourself. I don't know.
But yeah. So here's my biggest problem with Wonder Woman.
I had bigger issues with her, but that was kind of weird.
Yeah, it was weird. But so here's my point. In the first Wonder Woman film, she went out of her way not to kill people.
Yeah.
In the second one, she really tried to go out of her way.
She's
not
not
to kill
Superman.
people.
She's not Superman.
Well, I realize that.
If you follow the character closely, she's not Superman. She's not afraid to kill. She will kill when she needs to.
I know that. Oh, absolutely.
She won't second guess it. And she beheaded Steppenwolf without hesitating.
You're comparing it to a completely different universe, though. You're talking about Wonder Woman and Wonder Woman 2. They never. Oh, I'm pulling a Beatus moving away from the white mic.
So,
it would have been a lot darker with Snyder. That's the only reason I think that you got to see Wonder Woman obliterating. They didn't do as much of that.
But I think that was dark.
That too, yeah.
It was.
No. I think that was dark. Here's the whole point. She could have, and to your point, Whitty, for Wonder Woman is probably the second best hand-to-hand combatant behind Batman in the comics, at least. She could have killed that. Yeah, isn't she? Isn't that why I would?
She's behind Batman.
Her. Oh yeah, well,
behind Batman
in the comics.
He's going off of technical stats.
I don't think so.
If you took away all Wonder Woman,
take
away all Wonder Woman's strength,
we're not going to fight over it.
Just get rid of all the strength that Wonder Woman has, and just put them both in a room, hand to hand.
That's not how it works. She does have a lot of knowledge. She's learning combat skills from Ares, the god of war. So I don't care if he's learned something from Rachel Go. He's not as good as her in any universe.
Years old.
And
those Amazons.
And if you're gonna strip her away from her powers, you're gonna strip him away from everything else that he has. So that's not how it works. I'm sorry.
Batman's powers too.
God,
just to even it.
Yeah, take away all his money.
No. You know what? We're getting away from the point, but I'm so sick and tired of everyone saying, "Oh, Batman with some prep time, he can defeat anyone. He can defeat Wonder Woman. Fucking hell, she's a goddess. He's just a brooding dude in a cave. He's not going to defeat her." No matter how many prep time he gets, because if he gets prep time, so does she.
Dude in the
so
cave.
Right.
Fuck off with that thing.
Okay. I just got my ass handed to me by an Amazon, so I'm going to continue the point.
I only have one thing.
You're welcome.
AB. The only thing that I could think of why she did that, because you saw her super speed. She's sitting there blocking machine gun bullets. Super speeds over to the case, tosses it out. She could have easily, as soon as he went to reload that clip, ran over there and just grabbed the gun, took him and had him arrested. The only thing that I was trying to justify that with is, does her bracelets retain all the kinetic energy of absorbing all those bullets? Did she have to release it, or something may have happened? That's the only.
No, I think it was just to look cool. Because if she were arrested, it wouldn't have been as cool.
I mean, I've been trying.
I agree. It was
I was trying to justify
opening salvo.
I think that was it.
Adam West would have had him arrested.
Yeah, she destroys the whole building.
Yeah. She does. But that's the thing. She works in a museum. She's obviously passionate about saving art and antiquities and things of that nature. So not only does she destroy a fucking museum, she vaporizes a dude instead of disarming him and taking him in. And by the way, I don't care how happy
saved a
those
bunch of
kids
kids.
seemed behind. Right. They're going to need therapy.
They already needed therapy.
They were going to
saw-
need therapy regardless.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. I mean, so, yeah. I mean, I get that it was Wonder Woman's opening salvo, and, you know, you had to show her in a certain light, and she's all powerful, and fuck you. But, but yeah, you know, she didn't need to kill that dude.
You know, I guess speaking of Wonder Woman, I wanted to ask you something. I don't know if you've noticed too, but throughout the movie, out of the Justice League gang, Wonder Woman is the only character Steppenwolf speaks to. He's always teasing her, and something about, you know, killing their sisters and whatnot. To me, it was something like she was his backup plan in case he failed, that she would kill him, so he wouldn't suffer at the hands of Darkseid.
He did
Maybe.
most of that taunting.
Because he wasn't speaking to anyone
He
else.
did it before Superman came back,
Right.
though, didn't he? Didn't he taunt her mostly before then? So I felt like he was taunting the most
He did
powerful
it after,
person
too,
of the team.
I think.
Oh, did he do it
Yeah.
after? Yeah,
Too,
I
yes.
just always thought he was taunting her because he knew how strong she was, and he just wanted to get under her skin. Because there's that one spot where he talked about,
Well, yeah.
where were you when I slaughtered your sisters? If you were there, you could have saved them. I just think it was all mind tricks.
But he kept going. He kept
Yeah,
going.
true.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. Maybe she was his backup plan in case failed.
Yeah.
Could have
Yeah,
been.
that's a
Yeah, could
solid
be.
idea. Mm-hmm. I know that in the Super Friends cartoon that these guys all love, and I love it too, but in the Super Friends cartoon, it wasn't Darkseid's primary objective to marry Wonder Woman. Maybe
Yeah, he
that's
always
what Darkseid was
kidnapped
after,
her
right?
all the time.
That's funny.
It was like every episode he was trying to abduct her.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like Princess
He's like,
Peach
I'm
and
going to marry
Koopa.
Wonder Woman. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I guess he wanted to
digress.
get
I
the
just
most-
thought that was a funny.
Get the most powerful woman, reproduce with her, create the most powerful heir. Maybe that's his
God.
justification behind it.
Damn. So if Darkseid is like made of stone, if Darkseid is made of
You're
stone,
overthinking it.
And she's made of clay.
does he have a hard-on already? Right. I don't know. She's made of clay, right?
Yep.
It's as if they were made for one another.
Mud and rock.
God damn. I know. Shouldn't his thing already be hard? Is it hard all the time? Darkseid's
Maybe
penis.
looking at Wonder Woman.
Nobody wants to think about that shit. Yeah, well, maybe after looking at
You
Wonder
just
Woman. Nope. This is the first ever podcast. I think the first time anybody's ever said Darkseid's dick. Nobody's ever thought about Darkseid's cock made of fucking stone.
I just assumed he was a eunuch. I figured that's why he wore
Well, why
that
would he
weird
want to
dress
marry
cloak.
Wonder Woman if he didn't have something? God damn. Anyways.
She's a trophy wife.
Anyways. Oh, yeah, there you go. Trophy wives are expensive.
He's got a whole universe, so
Well,
can afford it.
I don't know. I hope you're not a trophy wife, Woody. I didn't want to upset you or offend you there.
No, none offense taken. You know I'm a very easygoing person, so.
Yeah.
Unless you say something wrong about Wonder Woman, then she rips your ass.
Right. And then she'll rip your fucking head off, man.
No, fuck that.
She was talking.
Yeah.
She was on fast forward. There, she was so angry. She was talking so fast.
Like,
She took a chunk out of my ass, y'all.
yeah. It's like you're wrong, and this is why.
Yep. You heard it here first, folks.
Don't do that mistake ever
Yeah.
again.
Tuck your tail between your legs.
Message
now.
received. Yeah. I done got. Oh my God. So let's do this because I know we're running long on this episode. Let's take it around the horn, and I want to get everybody's final thoughts, and then give me a star rating. Give me, how many stars out of 5 that you think this film was for you. And we'll start with Biff.
Okay, so overall, like I go into every DC movie with just limited expectations, and just want to be entertained. I was entertained. I thought, as I said before, the last fight scene was awesome. Although Wonder Woman and Aquaman didn't have the starring roles that maybe I would have liked. That last scene was super cool. You know, Flash did make me laugh a few times with the nerdiness and all of that, but there were some gaps, you know. Overall, out of 5, I'd say, you know, 3.5 to 4 out of 5, you know.
Sure.
It was you know, like a 75 out of 100, you know, like that in that range. It kept me entertained for 4 hours, and in a year like we've just had, being entertained is good enough for me.
Yeah, I can see that. Retmus, what's your final thoughts, and give me your stars out of 5 review.
Well, I'm definitely a major DC fanboy. I just can't help it. I've probably watched it 10 times now, because every time when I go in, whenever I go in, you know, to work.
You beat me.
Well, whenever I'm in there programming, I just have the TV above me on, and that's what I always turn on. So it's always playing in the background. I want to give it a perfect rating. I know it doesn't deserve it. So, I mean, I would give it probably an overall 4.5. And the reason I would do that is because I feel like, to me, it's kind of a little personal, because it's like to me, it's like, good. The director got to make his vision of this movie, and it was for us. You know, it really was for us. He tried to appease to so many different people that, of course, it's going to make other people not like it more because of all the garbage that was thrown in as well. But he was trying to do his best to make it for the fans. It's just amazing that the difference a director does make. I mean, we all know what the new scenes were. We can tell the difference in age by the characters, you know, just not drastic, but you can tell a little difference. And if the previous director, Joss Whedon, when he had access to all this footage as well, and he just decided, if we all sit down in a room, and Biff has his, you know, Black Flash has yours, and Witty, we all have the same exact footage. We're all going to assemble it in different ways to our preference. And it's all going to be a different movie. And that's why Joss's is different than Zack's. I mean, it's just, you know, you tell somebody to put something together like that, it's always going to be different. But I feel like it wasn't 100% his version, but it was his fan version for the people. And that's why I enjoyed it so much.
I agree with a lot of what you said there. Thanks, man. Let's do BF.
If I had to rate it out of 5, I'd probably give it a 4. It was a solid movie, very enjoyable, very fan relatable. Hit on all the things that you'd like. The things it had. Everybody has a different favorite superhero in DC, and for the most part, I think everybody could have gotten something out of it, unless you're a Lantern fan, unfortunately. But you got little peaks there. But all in all, it was a great movie. It was very fun and enjoyable, and the story's there. So you actually got to experience something that you didn't experience in the first one. So, 4. I'd give it 4 out of 5.
Very, very good. And just so I can get a couple chunks of my ass back, Whitty, you go last.
Well, I'm gonna be the negative Nancy here. I don't think it was that perfect of a movie. I originally rated it 6.5 out of 10, and I'm gonna keep that score. I'm not gonna go any higher. Even though it was a 4-hour movie, that didn't bother me at all. But like Redman said, it's a fan service movie. It was made for the fans, and I'm glad Zack had the opportunity to finish his project, because it was actually really good. But I will say this: if you're not a DC fan, and if you're not a fan of the genre, it's not going to be a good movie for you. You're not going to enjoy all 4 hours of it. No one is going to go into a 4-hour movie of something they don't even know about.
Yeah.
So, it's good. It's good. So every DC fan should at least once in their lives see the movie. I think they'll be happy with the content. But yeah, I'm not going to go any higher than that.
Yeah. Okay. That'll do it. And I just to kind of put an end cap on this, What do we got going on over here? We got some jokers going on.
About to fight Ratmus.
Oh, okay. Oh my God. Yeah, that's probably my cue. I'm going to round this out, and I'm going to say that I stick with my initial assertion. I gave it a high 4.5 on CTS, and I'm going to say it's, still a medium to high 4.5 for me. The good certainly overshadows anything that's bad in this film, whether it's a technical issue, which there are some. I'm not a big technical issue guy, but there were some technical issues with it. Don't like the aspect ratio, never did, never will. If at one point you're going to make a movie for the fans and it's never going to be shown in an IMAX theater, box the damn thing. Cut it down. And it could have stood with some editing. I mean, 4 hours and 2 minutes is a long time for me. Having said all that, like, if those are my biggest issues, my issues with, Aquaman songs going on too long, or, Wonder Woman smashing up a museum, minor things, because everything got fixed in this film the way that it should. Everything made much more sense. Characters got fleshed out more. If you're a DC fan, why wouldn't you love this film? That's just my personal take on it. 4.5.
Pretty solid rating, so we got 4.5, 4.5, 4.
Probably an
What
average of-
was Witty's out of 5? I remember her saying the 6.5. What was the 4?
She gave 6.5 out of 10.
6.5 out of 10.
Yeah, so
So she didn't even do the
3.25. 3.25.
Is that the average?
I can.
Yeah. 3.25.
We got 4, 12,
Carry the 1.
15,
So,
15,
so is somebody doing the math on
16.
what our average score is?
Yeah, 4. We got an average rating of 4.
Okay. So the Double AD crew gives it a combined 4 out of 5 stars. Check it out. You should all watch it. If you don't watch it, why not? And I think that'll do it for us today. As always, we want to thank each and every one of you for taking the time to be with us. You never have to miss an episode. Subscribe, drop some love with likes, stars, high fives, hashtags, whatever you got in front of you, and spread the word if you like what you hear, because we depend on your word of mouth to grow. We certainly appreciate and love all of you for doing so. Stay safe out there. Thank you once again for listening to part 2, and we'll see you next time right here for another edition of Atlantis After Dark. For BF, Witty, Retmus, and Biff, so long, everybody.
Gathered together from the cosmic reaches of the universe, here in this great hall of justice, are the most powerful podcasters ever assembled. Super Male, Biff Man, Witty Amazon, Black Flash, AB, dedicated to fun, entertainment, and quality podcasting everywhere. This is Atlantis After Dark.
Should have utilized that frickin' bathroom break.
That felt longer than the movie.
Oh, man. 2 hours and 19 minutes.